Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
If you look at this image, you'll see the little bit elaborated form of architecture. So look at it very carefully. We discuss about the masters Valonu, only master so far. Now we need to discuss about the worker, the node. So what is a node? So node is a place where we run container. Look at this. But the container, we are not running just like that. We are running the container inside a pod. And in the last session, what we learned is, last discussion, inside a node you may have a multiple pod, and for each pod you may have a multiple container also. So now let's understand this. So this is a node, also known as minions, also known as Kubernetes worker. So let's know about this. So basically guys, in the worker you have three important application running. Each worker you have three important component running. First component we have is kubelet. Now what is a kubelet? So guys, kubelet is the Kubernetes main agent which is working, which is running, I repeat, running in the each worker. And because of kubelet only, the worker is a part of the cluster. When I say cluster, that means Kubernetes cluster. Because of kubelet only, the worker is a part of the cluster. If the kubelet is not running and it's not talking to API server, again remember it's talking to API server, that means that node is not a part of the Kubernetes cluster. So this utility, this tool has to be running in the each node. Now basically this registered a node with a cluster and it keep watching API server all the time. And scheduler request kubelet only. Remember, scheduler schedule the work, assign the work. Scheduler is not doing the work. Scheduler schedule the work based on the instruction from API server. And who's doing the work? Who's doing the worker? Worker is doing the work means creating a pod and container. Okay, so work means pod and container. But who's instantiating? Who is the real worker? So kubelet is the real worker in the Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes worker. So here kubelet instantiated the pod based upon the instruction from the scheduler, and again once the work is completed, then it report back to the master. Master means API server, always remember, because API server is always the front end to the control plane aka master. So report back to the master, and this kubelet is running on the each node on the port number 10255. So this is a kubelet, which is the first and most important component of the worker machine or node machine or minion machine, whatever you want to call it. Now let's know about the second component. Guys, second component, I think we have spent good amount of time already, and that is nothing but a Docker. container engine. So what is it can do, you know it very well by now. So you know it very well. Containers will pull the images, start the container, stop the container. All this thing is done by container engine. We have spent good amount of time to understand the container engine, which is like a Docker. Let me remind you, there are so many container engine technologies are there, which I have share a list with you also first day itself. Now, the beauty about the Kubernetes, it can be other container engine as well. So one is Docker, which is a default and very popular and very useful, which we have learned already, but it can be Rocket, Cryo, and many other it can be. So Kubernetes is a very pluggable solution. You can use any container engine for the sake of it. Okay, so now this is the container engine. Third thing which we have is third component. If you want to really understand the third component, you need to understand this statement. I hope you remember the statement which I stated, the problem which I stated, like each container cannot be accessed outside of the host without without exposing at the node port. So the question is, the load balancer, how can it be accessed? So for that, Kubernetes has laid out some networking requirement, but not for the container, but for the pod. So Kubernetes has laid out the networking requirement, and as part of this requirement, all pods, please read this, all pod, when I say, that means the pod is not running in one machine, it may be running in multiple machines, multiple worker you may have it. So here I state all pod can communicate with each other on all nodes. That is a networking requirement. Now it has to be fulfilled by someone. Which component which will fulfill this requirement we'll discuss. So all pods can communicate with each other on all nodes. Second requirement is all nodes can communicate with all pods. That means as part of the cluster, let's say 20 machines are there. All the 20 machines should be able to connect with any pod. And all the pods should be able to connect with any node. That is a two requirement, and without a NAT, without a network address translation. So how can we get this requirement done? Who's helping us to get this requirement done? Kuproxy. So guys, Kuproxy is the software applications is running in each node of the cluster, in the cluster, which is basically helping you to create a Kubernetes networking and helping you to get this requirement for the Kubernetes done. So guys, Kuproxy is a Kubernetes networking which allocate the IP address to the pod. Yes, that's correct. Pod. Now what is a pod? We have not discussed so far. We will discuss in some time in detail. But Kuproxy allocate the IP address to the pod, and inside the pod you have a container. So that means if you want to access the container, you have to access through the pod IP address. You may have a multiple containers in the pod, so all the containers in the pod can be accessible by the IP address which is allocated to the pod. Now because of this, load balancing can also happen. Why? Think about it. Because pod get IP address, not container. You get the pod IP address, so you can access the container. And because of that, load balancing also works. How come? Because of, read this, all pods can communicate with each other on all the nodes. All the nodes can communicate with all the pods. So load balancing can balance the pod. Load balancers can balance the pod, not a container here. Which can, and when you balance the pod, all the pods can communicate to all the pods within the cluster. So that way the requirement is fulfilled with the help of Kuproxy. Guys, this is the three components together. We use it. kubelet, which is a main Kubernetes agent, container engine, which can be Docker or Rocket or any other things, and a kubeproxy, which is a Kubernetes networking. All these components you have in the cluster worker, each worker node, and this is how we interact. Okay, so look at this here, the intra-node communications here. Kubelet talk to the API server. Kubeproxy also talk to the API server. And within a master, whatever we discussed that we have already completed. So you can understand this. So guys, this is the second important component what we had, nodes. So just let's sum up. What is a nodes? So here nodes, in each node you will find kubelet, kubeproxy and Docker. Kubelet, which monitoring API server for changes, responsible for the pod lifecycle. When I say pod lifecycle, that means pod can be instantiated, running or terminated. These are the life cycle of the pod that is responsible by kubelet. Reports node and pod state. So kubelet reports node and pod state. Kubelet helps you to check the props also, node pod liveness props and stuff like that. So guys, second one is a kubeproxy, which is a network proxy IP tables, implement services, routing traffic to the pod, and helps you to do load balancing. And Docker, you know very well. We do have other components as well in the cluster, like a DNS, ingress, dashboard. But right now we are not discussing here because these are the add-ons which you may need it, which may not need it all the time. So this is the stuff. Now, apart from that, we have discussed master, we have discussed worker, but we have to discuss workstation. Workstation, the one which you have it, laptop. I hope remember. So from your laptop, let me show you the one more image one more time. So you'll understand this. Remember this image. So everything is done by the master, is not doing everything his own. You are asking for it. Asking for it. So in your workstation, what you have in your laptop, what you have. So you will have kubectl. And what you do, you write a JSON file. You send it to who? API server. And rest of the thing, it happens, you know that very well. So now we are going to understand the complete flow. So let's go back to the last section, and which is called declarative model and desired state. What is a declarative model and what is a desired state? So guys, let's understand this declarative model first. Once upon a time, we were developing a software from scratch. Each and every feature we used to write it, everything. We used to write it. Now, mailing functionality or validation, front end, back end, this feature, chat functionality, everything we used to write it from scratch. Each line we used to write it. That era we used to call it compiled languages era. Like a Java was very boom at that time. C++ was very boom at that time. .NET, compiled languages. You know that. Some of you might have worked with this. But what has happened, we wanted to develop a software faster, better, cheaper. So we got interpreted languages, interpreted languages. Which are those? So languages like PHP, Python, Perl, these are the interpreted languages, you know that. So here the development of the applications get faster, and software development life cycle is become very small and very precise and easy to do that. So you know that 85% of the world's website is running on a PHP. Have you imagined? Not on Java, not on Python, not on C++, not on .NET. It's running on PHP. It's an interpreted language. Easy to learn, easy to write, easy to deploy. Everything's so easy. So we got interpreted language world. But you know one thing, we got the sharing platform, internet. Very powerful platform. So now we started thinking about it. Why to reinvent the wheel for every product? Why do we write every product same thing, same software again and again? Because more or less every product we need a same feature, almost same feature. So can't we do like this? Can't we develop once and reuse it? Reuse the code with the internet. Growing use of internet, we started reusing the code. So can't we reuse the code? And that is where we got the concept of third-party libraries. So we write a less code, we integrate with a more third-party libraries, and we extend the software of it. Import, extend, all this thing we do that. But from last few years, we got a different world altogether. We have started saying that, okay, you don't need to learn the programming language at all. Just you tell us what you want and I'll give it to you. Tell us means declare it. Just you declare to us what you want in a simple way. Declare. You tell me you declare it, and I'll get you done this one. You don't have to worry about it. Everything I'll get it done. We call it declarative model. Sometimes you call it domain specific languages also, DSL, declarative model. So in a domain specific language, what we do, we declare, and then the tool will get me done those stuff. So declaration nowadays, how do we do that? Earlier we used to do that in XML, but now JSON and YAML is very popular. Very popular. JSON and YAML is very popular. Declarative model. But when you declare, where to declare? Desire. That's called desire. Sorry, where to declare? So you'll declare in the YAML or JSON. But before declaring, you need to know what you want. Do you know what you want from the Kubernetes? Because Kubernetes says, I'll give you everything, whichever you want, but you ask me at least. Do you know what you want? That's called desire. So you have a desire, declare in the YAML or JSON, send it through workstation, which you have a kubectl, to the API server and forget about it. That's all. Everything is done. Your work is over. And that is what I'm going to teach you, what to desire. So guys, what to desire? You are going to declare in the YAML or JSON, what? I want 3 pod. Remember, pod has a container. You know that for sure. So you want 3 pod of what? So you want 3 pod of Nginx. Yeah. You want 3 pod of Nginx. And then forget about it. You got this. How you got it? I don't have to tell you. We've been discussing. API server received that request, stored in the cluster stored etcd. Controller reported saying that we don't have a 3 pod. API server said desire is 3, current actual is 0. Scheduler, please create 3. Scheduler said, okay, let me assign this work to the node. So he's assigned scheduler, he's a supervisor, something like that. So scheduler assigned the work to we had a 3 node. Each one of these, they got a 1 pod assigned. Node, we had a kubelet, remember. Kubelet instantiated a pod. Then kubelet asked Docker, please fill this container here. Docker fill the container. Then kubelet asked kubeproxy, please give the IP address to this pod. Kubelet given the IP address to this pod. And then kubelet reported back to the master saying that, okay, I have completed my work. Everything is done. You did not do anything else except that declaring your desire in YAML or JSON. So guys, are you getting my points, what I'm trying to say here? What is your work here in Kubernetes? What is your work here in Kubernetes? Are you getting my points? Yeah. So guys, everyone is happy. Suddenly what has happened? One node got disappeared. Network issues, hardware issues, software issues, anything, I don't know. Node got disappeared. That means number of actual pod 2. How much you desired? 3. Mismatch. You know what will happen? Controller will report back to the API server, boss, I could find only 2 pod. API server will check to the database. I had a 3 desire. So how many mismatch? 1. Hey scheduler, please schedule the 1 pod. Scheduler will say, okay, no problem. Let me schedule this. Let me find out that whose node who's having the CPU resources are available. Let me schedule the work to that node. Kubelet received that request from the scheduler, one of the node. And you know that. 3 pod, that was a request. That is actual. Now it's in match. Everyone is happy. So guys, this is how it works. So understand this very simple flow, very effective solution. But you don't have to do anything. On all the complexities hidden in the cluster. You did nothing. Remember, you did nothing. Just you write a file, YAML file, send it to the API server. That's all. That's where we are doing the Kubernetes. So much of things. So guys, what is your job? What is your job in Kubernetes? What is your job in Kubernetes? Your job in Kubernetes is to know what you want. That's all. What is your desire? They will ask you, what is your desire? Tell me. You should know what you want. Do you want pod? I'll get you done. Do you want controllers? I'll get you done. Do you want services? Do you want storage? Do you want security? Do you want authorization? Do you want authentication? Do you want this? Do you want that? You just learn what you want and I'll get you that. So these are your session. You need to, as part of the Kubernetes session, once the cluster is set up, you need to know what you want and you put it in YAML and send it to the API server and then forget about it. So your job is to learn all the API resources which we have. First and most important resources which we have is pods. Very important. Very important. Very important.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.